I'm going to be reading Exodus 2 from the Holy Bible. These are just my real, raw, and honest reactions and thoughts as I start reading, and I have never read it before. I have just started reading the book of Exodus for the very first time, so let's get right into it and figure out what we're reading here. So, let's see here. Exodus. And mind you, Exodus 1, I read that yesterday, and it ends with the Pharaoh gave his order to all his people to throw every newborn Hebrew boy into the Nile River, but you may let the girls live. That's how Exodus starts. That is quite a start to something. Just go ahead and kill all the boys, the Hebrew boys. That's a start. All right. Exodus 2, the birth of Moses. Fantastic. When I say I really haven't read anything, I really mean I try not to even read the first of the chapter titles. So the birth of Moses. And this is the guy who, as far as we know, or at least as far as I understand through people have talked about things and what you hear growing up, is that he wrote the Ten Commandments. So let's get into this. The birth of Moses. About this time, a man and woman from the tribe of Levi got married. Ooh, Levi. He was, Levi and Simeon were the ones that avenged their sister Dinah from her being raped, was it? Was that right? They avenged their sister. They went in and slaughtered all the men, which was, I was actually on their side of things for sure in that storyline. I'd have to go back and remember it, but okay. So, about this time, a man and woman from the tribe of Levi got married. The woman became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She saw that he was a special baby and kept him hidden for 3 months. Why did she see that he was a special baby? I wonder what that was. But when she could no longer hide him, she got a basket made of papyrus seeds and waterproofed it with tar and pitch. Tar and pitch. I don't know what pitch is. I literally have no idea what that might be with tar and pitch. Okay. She put the baby in the basket and laid it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile River. The baby's sister then stood at a distance watching to see what would happen to him. This sounds like she's going to let him go. That's not good. Soon, Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the river, and her attendants walked along the riverbank. When the princess saw the basket among the reeds, she sent her maid to get it for her. When the princess opened it, she saw the baby. The little boy was crying, and she felt sorry for him. This must be one of the Hebrew children, she said. Wait, so the mother just left the boy in the reeds? I'm going to back up here. The woman became pregnant and gave a birth to a son. She saw that he was a special baby and kept him hidden for 3 months. I wonder what she saw that made him a special baby. But when she could no longer hide him, this is only 3 months, so the baby, she got a basket made of papyrus reeds and waterproofed it with tar and pitch. She put the baby in the basket and laid it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile River. The baby's sister then stood at a distance watching to see what would happen to him. What's going on there? If the mother laid this baby in the reeds along the Nile River, and then the baby's sister, why is it so specific about the baby's sister then stood at a distance watching to see what would happen to him? Soon Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe, and then the Pharaoh's daughter finds this baby. Oh, wow. Then the baby's sister approached the princess. "Should I go and find one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" she asked. "Yes, do," the princess replied. So the girl went and called the baby's mother. Wait, what's going on? This feels like a total setup or something. Am I reading this right? Then the baby's sister approached the princess. "Should I go and find one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" she asked. "Yes, do," the princess replied. So the girl went to call the baby's mother. "Take this baby and nurse him for me," the princess told the baby's mother. "I will pay you for your help." So the woman took her baby home and nursed him. Wait, am I getting this right? The mother hid her baby for 3 months, took him down to the Nile River. The baby's sister watched what was going on. The Pharaoh's daughter came down, saw the baby. The sister then goes over and says, "Hey, oh my gosh, let me find someone to nurse the baby." Runs back and tells the actual baby's mother? Is that really what I'm? That's the way I'm reading it here. Wow. Okay. Later, when the boy was older. Okay, so now we're already getting older. So that's the way it. If this is Moses, he had a hell of a start. Whatever was going on here. Okay. Later, when the boy was older, his mother brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter, who adopted him as her own son. The princess named him Moses. So it's Moses. For she explained, I lifted him out of the water. Wow. So, I just don't understand, though. The woman became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She saw that he was a special baby and kept him hidden for 3 months. So, what did the mom see in her baby that she needed to keep him hidden for 3 months? And also, why did she hide him? And why did she basically set this whole thing up so that her and her daughter were down there at the Nile River? And luckily, maybe the Pharaoh, they were probably watching. That's probably what was really going on. They were like, okay, the Pharaoh's daughter comes down to bathe. We're going to do this on this day. And then the Pharaoh's daughter finds this baby Moses. But I just wonder, why would they do all that? What's the setup? Maybe it'll tell me later. Anyways. So later when the boy was older, I wonder how old this is, his mother brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter, who adopted him as her own son. The princess named him Moses, for she explained, I lifted him out of the water. So now the princess of the Pharaoh, who's the daughter's Pharaoh, she has adopted this baby Moses. That's fantastic. What a start to this guy's life. Moses escapes to Midian. Midian? How do we say that? Okay. Many years later, I wonder what that time means. Many years later. Does it say down here? It gives a reference of 11. I don't know what that means. Many years later. I wonder how far. Okay. So many years later, when Moses had grown up, he went out to visit his own people, the Hebrews, and he saw how hard they were forced to work. During his visit, he saw an Egyptian beating one of his fellow Hebrews. After looking in all the directions to make sure no one was watching, Moses killed the Egyptian and hid the body in the sand. Moses, you killed the Egyptian and hid the body in the sand. Wait a minute here. Because let's go back into Genesis, where God did say, thou shalt not murder. And I think it's actually in like Genesis 2 or 3, that if someone should kill another person, then their blood should be taken as well. And this is not justified, what Moses did. Because during his visit, he saw an Egyptian beating one of his fellow Hebrews. After looking in all directions to make sure no one was watching, Moses killed the Egyptian and hid the body in the sand. So Moses killed this Egyptian. He killed another person, even though that other person did not kill somebody. He was only beating someone. That's not good. Well, but this is quite a thing. I wonder how old Moses was. And he clearly knew what his Hebrew roots were, even though he grew up as the adopted son of the Pharaoh's daughter. So this is a very interesting story already. I had no idea about this with Moses. What a start. The next day, when Moses went out to visit his people again, he saw 2 Hebrew men fighting. Why are you beating up your friend? Moses said to the one who had started the fight. The man replied, who appointed you to be our prince and judge? Are you going to kill me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday? And they knew it, and they know it. Then Moses was afraid, thinking, everyone knows what I did. And sure enough, Pharaoh heard what had happened. And he tried to kill Moses. Oh, geez. But Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in the land of Midian. Oh, this is what Moses did already? Pharaoh finds out he's going to go and try to kill Moses, but Moses flees from the Pharaoh and went to live in the land of Midian. This is quite a start here. When Moses arrived in Midian, he sat down beside a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters who came as usual to draw water and fill the water troughs for their father's flock. 7 daughters. We have the number 7 that pops up a lot here. Interesting. But some of the shepherds came and chased their flocks. Oh, wait, sorry. But some other shepherds came and chased them away. So Moses jumped up and rescued the girls from the shepherds. Then he drew water for their flocks. Oh, look at Moses saving the damsels in distress, right? The seven daughters. When the girls returned to Reuel, their father, he asked, "Why are you back so soon today? An Egyptian rescued us from their shepherds." They answered, oh, what? I've screwed that up. An Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds. They answered, and then he drew water for us and watered our flocks. That seems really worded kind of weird here. But anyways, continue. Okay. Then where is he? Their father asked. Why did you leave him there? Invite him to come and eat with us. Okay, so they're saying that an Egyptian, so Moses, he escapes to Midian, and he's still acting like an Egyptian, apparently, or maybe he just looks like an Egyptian, even though he is Hebrew, and he killed an Egyptian, so all the Hebrew men know who he is, at least back there in Egypt. Moses accepted the invitation, and he settled there with him. In time, Reuel gave Moses his daughter Zipporah to be his wife. Later, she gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershom, for he explained, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land. Years passed, and the king of Egypt died, but the Israelites continued to groan under their burden of slavery. They cried out for help, and their cry rose up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He looked down on the people of Israel and knew it was time to act. This is pretty interesting here. I had no idea that this was going to be quite the start to Moses. What a start here. So Moses, he's born a baby, and then his mom, I think they totally had this set up. His mom and his sister, who's just a little bit older, they see the Pharaoh's daughters probably bathing. They're like, you know what? We need to protect our baby somehow or another. So that's what I'm thinking the mom did. She went down, put him in the reeds. They backed off. The daughter, the Pharaoh's daughter comes down, sees this poor little baby. She's compassionate, picks up the baby. She's like, oh my gosh, I have a baby. The sister to Moses, the real sister, says, let me go find someone to nurse that baby for you. Runs over, gets the real mom. The real mom comes back, nurses Moses. Once he's a little bit older, the daughter of Pharaoh then basically adopts Moses, raises him as an Egyptian, and though Moses does know that he's a Hebrew, so somehow or another he kept his Hebrew roots even though he was being raised as an Egyptian through this entire time. I wonder if he actually knew who his mom was and his sister. That's a good question. Then, once he gets a little bit older, he sees what's happening to his Hebrew people. They're being beaten as slaves. Moses then goes and kills one of them, buries him in the sand. Everyone else knows what's going on, and now Moses has to flee. And the Pharaoh's like, hey, we're going to come find you. Then Moses goes to Midian, basically saves 7 damsels in distress because the shepherds chased them off. So then he actually helps them get their flocks watered. And that King Reuel, or in time Reuel, something like that, brings them back in. And now Moses is going to be there, and he then gets to marry one of the daughters. This is amazing. What a start to Moses.